Reiner's dad. You can tell by the family resemblance. I met Reiner 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
Nearly 20 years,
through Václav Fitovec, who we will see at 4 o'clock at his Atomic Museum. Reiner, I don't know if I've told you, is a Cold War collector, a Cold War historian. He and I hit it off right away with our interest in Cold War history, as well as in our appetite for beer. So we became very good friends very quickly. I met Mr. Hunger when I came out for their wedding back in the day.
Back in the day, yeah.
And then we see each other every time I'm in Austria. So he's here to welcome you, and he has a little gift for us when we get back on the bus to make the ride a little bit more pleasant. So we'll get that surprise.
If you want, I can show the gift.
We'll tease you now with it.
He teases you.
And we'll present one to everybody on the way out.
We live about 30 kilometers from here in a little village in a wonderful house, as Gary knows, and we have so much trees and with fruits, and we didn't know what to do with all those fruits. And then I said, we can make liquor.
And spoken like a true Hunger.
And since this time, we make every year liquor. In our best times, we made liquor of 27 different fruits.
Oh my God!
And nuts and berries.
Nuts, yeah, and berries, and also. To you, I brought 4
different flavors.
Different flavors. This is Dirndl. Dirndl is an English Cornelian cherry. Yeah. The word Dirndl in Austria means a little maiden, a little girl. The next one is Quitten. Quince. Quince. And we would like to make the bottle beautiful. You see, it is sealed with a cordel. And that you know that it is from Ernest and Gertrude, it's my wife, Hanger. We make a seal with our coat of arms. Yeah. This is here on it. That means that's Hanger. The next is Kirschen, you know, sherry. Sherry. And the last is Kriechel. Kriechel means Tempson plum. Kriechel. Okay.
We will do the tasting after we come back from the village. I think that's for safety reasons better.
That alcohol is not so much, it's about 22, 23. You can drink it all.
Better than beer, but less than wine, probably. And then I have a little presentation for Ernest. This is the new book, of course, that everybody on the trip has gotten, those of you who wanted it. But I would like to present this to you as a thank you of your friendship and what you do to help make these tours so enjoyable.
Gary, you know, I'm glad if you get a book from you. I got so much books from him. I mean, I know his father better than him. Thank you so much.
You are welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so
all right.
much.
Good.
Okay. So, all right. So you got the introduction of our industry, you know. And on the bus, I told you that we go to Döllersheim and that we will stop at the market square. This is the market square. The town is gone. When the Germans annexed Austria in '38, you know, they thought, okay, that's a really good area to build a huge trading area. And for that, they abandoned 42 villages. So they kicked the people out. To be fair, the first people who were kicked out, they got quite a good compensation. So that was somehow fair in a way when it comes to the value of the land and the farms and all that. But then the war started. People were still driven out of these villages, and they didn't see a penny then. So they lost everything. After the war, these people thought they could come back because the houses were still standing. But this was the Soviet zone. So the Soviets took over this military area. and well, Vienna was bombed, so a lot of roofs in Vienna were of course damaged, you know. So the Soviets, together with the Secret Service, thought this is a very good idea. We take the slates from these houses and bring them to Vienna. So the roofs were gone here, and you know, if a house loses the roof, it's gone in a couple of years, and then it's ruined. Our Soviet friends who stayed here quote unquote, who stayed here for 10 years, used this military area intensively for artillery training, and they used the churches as the point to fire. You know why? On a military map, the altitude of a village is always the first step of the church. So they started firing on these churches. So the churches who were somehow still in a relatively good shape were then ruined by Soviet artillery. You can imagine how much we love the Soviets for that, you know. Oh, bitte, yeah. So, okay, this was a small introduction. Now we go up to the church. The church is nearly 900 years of age. A beautiful church it was until 1938. Now it's a ruin, but it's the symbol. I'm not kidding you. It's the symbol where say the history of this area, the Cold War of this history area, really merges. We have the stuff of the Nazis, the war, the Soviet occupation, and then Austrian neutrality. You all find these in one symbol, and this is the church, and therefore I really wanted to bring you here. It's a 3 minutes walk up. Please follow me.
Now you're dressed in a new outfit today. Is there something special about your outfit? Dad's
my
not
dirndl.
dressed the same way.
This is my dirndl, you know. This is my. Now, after the war, you know, people did not wear the local costumes too much. But over the last 2 or 3 decades, I would say, we rediscovered the old fashion that my ancestors were wearing, and so even the young people, they discovered that again, you know. It's simple, but we like it very much.
The decor is nice.
Oh,
This
nice.
comes from, you know, equestrian, you know, from the horse rider and so on. These are the local colors, and this is my fat belly.
When we wore these things, the people said, "You're Nazi."
Yeah, this was this was after the war. Wearing local stuff like that, you know, after the war, everybody wanted to somehow get rid of history, you know, and all that, you know. So they abandoned everything it's total, bullshit, you know. That ruined so much of culture, you know.
Pretend it didn't happen go for it.
The problem was the girlfriend of Hitler, Eva Braun, you know, she was constantly running around in a dirndl, you know. So after the war, the ladies said, I'm not wearing the stuff that she wore, you know. So it took a couple of years that this changed again, and I think this is very important that we reconnect to our local
It's so
stuff.
bad up today, we don't sing our folk songs, our old folk songs, because people said, the Nazi even sang this song.
Just because the Nazis sang them, you know. I mean, the
But
Nazis were
songs
also
are
eating, you
300
know.
years
So
old.
shall we stop eating now because they did? You know? This was such a stupid mentality, you know. This was really that really sucked. But times are getting really, really better, and now we go up to the symbol. Hitler's father, He was born in a small hamlet some 2 miles this direction. Doesn't exist anymore, was destroyed as well. So, and Hitler's father, he went to grammar school here. The Hitlers had a lot of relatives in this area, you know.
Were they Hitler or Heidler?
They changed the name twice. In the end, he ended up with Hitler. The family, you know, bit dodgy, you know, a cousin married a cousin then. But in these days, this was relatively normal, so to speak. You had to ask the church for allowance if this is possible. And when the church said, the bishop said, okay, that's no big deal, so you can do that. But because this happened within the Hitler family as well, immediately after the war, a lot of rumors started. Was he mentally okay? Of course he was not mentally okay, but not because a cousin married a cousin. You understand? You know, this place is such a symbol of history. I said Nazism, communism, Austrian neutrality, and of course the days of the monarchy. It all somehow merges as a symbol here, and we don't want to exaggerate the family history of Hitler or whatever, but after the war, now let me put it this way, in the 1930s, the American Life magazine already sent journalists to this very place where we are today, and they should check the Parish record to find out what's going on with the Hitler family, because Hitler didn't speak too much about his family, so they thought they could discover certain secrets or whatever. They didn't know it. After the war, the Soviets heard rumors that on the graveyard, which we will visit in a minute, there were graves of the Hitler family. Of course there were. It's a big family and cousin and all that. And then, oh, they buried some secrets in the grave.
Oh, yeah.
So the KGB, not kidding you, that's the truth. It sounds ridiculous. Not even Hollywood could imagine stories like that. So they thought, okay, let's open the graves. They started with the grave of Hitler's grandma, you know, opened it, didn't find anything, so closed again. Couple of months later, another Secret Service guy shows up, you know, well, let's open the grave. So there were 2 or 3 guys from a neighboring village, you know, they actually earned quite a bit of money by constantly opening a grave of the Hitler family, you know. They didn't, of course, they didn't find anything. But because the KGB and these high-rank Soviet soldiers constantly were there, it made the Americans nervous. What are they doing here? And of course, the Americans could not easily go into the Soviet zone. So they sent spies. Sometimes local spies who had to report them what's going on this graveyard. How many Hitler graves have been opened and closed again. So it's ridiculous. But on the one side, it tells you a bit that the human imagination, you know, can create the most stupid stories. And that's the way it is. And now let's walk up.
And we always say, if he hadn't changed his name, nobody had greeted in the Third Reich with Heil Schickelgruber.
Kind of church. Is it a Catholic church? It was here are only Catholics. Yeah. Austria is very Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, when I was young, about 80% of Austrians were Catholics.
Döllersheim graveyard, you immediately see that, you know, the graves are abundant, you know, the crosses are old and rusty, but I can tell you, the graveyard itself presents now in a beautiful state. Can you imagine how this looked like when this turned into a ruin, and when our Soviet friends fired their artillery here, so they destroyed the graveyard? Can you imagine how that looked like, you know? How much culture, artillery.
There it is.
Here it is, yeah, but they're firing this direction, don't worry.
Okay.
So, after the war, this was absolutely a catastrophe here, destroyed and all that. It were some soldiers, actually officers, and I'm proud to say that one of them was my granddad, my mother's dad. They thought that can't go on like that. This is history, this is culture, this is religion, this is about their people, this is decency. So they suggested that they turn this area here into a kind of memorial. But memorial was not the right term, so to speak. So they thought, well, here it's all about military and all about destruction and all that. Why don't we make a symbol for peace? So they renovated the church a bit, put a new roof on, so that at least it's dry inside, and they started to restore the graves. But you know, most of the crosses, they were gone and or totally destroyed. So they collected crosses from all over the area, brought them in, restored the call this and all that, and put a cross atop of each individual grave again. In 1978, my granddad and all the people responsible for that, they invited the representatives of the different religions, so Catholics, Protestants, Jews, they all came here and they did a ceremony for peace. And I have a video of that, which I can show you later, or I put it on Facebook so that you can watch it whenever you want. I mean, you have to be careful with terms like this was unique, out of this world, a moral highlight or whatever, but this definitely was. So they restored the graves. So people who were kicked out came back, could put flowers on, and you know, a place of worship was re-established, so to speak. And in 1994, a person who was basically just about to die had one last wish, that he came from this village and he wanted to be buried on this graveyard again. But officially, due to church law, this is not a graveyard anymore where actually funerals took place. But this old guy said, I don't fucking care. I come from this place. My last will is, I want my grave here. And he moved hell and earth, you know, wrote letters to the bishop and I think even to the Pope and or whatever. And in the end, it was granted that he could be buried here. So here in 1993, Mr. Fröschl is the last inhabitant of this village who found his resting place here on this graveyard. And I think that's an amazing symbol how things change, turn in the one or the other direction. And you know, you have an amazing journey ahead. You see atomic bunkers and all that. The trip is, I'm so glad that I can be part of that. And Gary has done an amazing job that we can go to Václav and also our Czech neighbors. And I thought before we jump into the action of proper, real Cold War spying, KGB, CIA, atomic weapons or whatever, I wanted to bring you to a symbol of peace. By the way, I'm not a good doer, I'm not a romantic person. I was a lieutenant in the army, believe me. I know how to fire mortars and stuff like that. So we don't want naivety here in our area, we want clarity. And I hope I could clarify the one other thing of our very, very complicated Middle European history, and I thought it's a good place to come here. So welcome to a graveyard.
Thank you.
So is there a group that is focused on this whole space here that kind of keeps it going?
Yeah,
or?
there's a couple of officers of the Austrian army
Okay.
take care of that, and there's a lovely old gentleman living in a neighboring village, you know, he also takes care of that, and they also check, you know, if when there's a thunderstorm or the snow, and that everything is in good shape.
And how is money raised for this, or is there like a fund that carries for it?
First of all, you don't need too much money for that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the Austrian army pays for that. People chip in,
Mm-hmm.
but the area where we are living here is really, I'm not kidding, this is known for community work, for social work, you know. So the people go there, and if they see that, you know, something is wrong or there's a bit of rubbish, they take it immediately, you know. The locals here, they take care of that. So it's not a question of money.
And then what's the future of it for say, your children or grandchildren? Will there be a future here for this place or not?
This place will always be a symbol of, as I said, for all this history that happened here. I would call it a positive memorial. It sounds like a bit of a contradiction, but when I bring people here, or my dad, or Count Codenus, we tell them there was so much horror going on, and now look at this peaceful place. Of course, it's not perfect, but it went in a better direction, you know.
On the way in, the road.
Yeah. Yes. This is what people died in a car accident.
And where is the Hitler family graves, or do you not show that?
But you are very lucky.
Yeah, somewhere in this area.
Okay.
But, as I said, there's this careful, this dangerous tendency that whenever you talk about history,
Right.
doesn't matter in Germany or here or in the Czech Republic, the minute it somehow touches the bloody Hitlers, you know, the focus goes there,
Right.
you know, and you know this area here, you know.
That's
you
not
can't
the
call
focus.
it responsible that they breeded here, so to speak. you
So
know?
that's not the focus at
That's
all.
definitely not focused. It's part of it,
Yeah.
but it's definitely
Part
not
of the
the
history.
focus.
It's part of the history, but not the focus. Okay. That's a
I
good.
tell you that you are very lucky today because the weather is so nice. This region where we live is the coldest region of total Austria. In winter we have up. Take over the land of grandfather. So since then I'm here and living here and working here. Our property is wood. That's why a little bit of green is like the trees. But even today, although the title is not important. That's what we do. That we're working for. We're working with our what you call in England the landlords and so on. But we're working with the farmers all together. Yes, it's our neighbor to the right, our neighbor to the left, and whatever. And we're still trying to keep up the mentality to help each other. Yeah? So even if, as Rainer said, for the poor people, and we know even of us, we can, although we have pockets for our living, of course, we need everybody needs and pays for the daily living, but we don't take it up. We can't take it up with heaven. So So it's always the question: what can we do in the region to help that the people can
get some work here, and if you have some work, you can have here a living. Yeah. So it sounds so simple, but it's
But the good things usually are simple.
Yeah. There we are.
His name is Count Godano.
Lance probably is already nervous.
We heard on the
Very glad that you came together with Gary and Lance, and we had the opportunity to stay here. You will now get small present. The schnapps my dad already explained. We call it the liquid flowers, you know. Just one thing. This is our symbol, the angel of peace. And please do me one favor. Sign it, please, as a group, sign it, so that we, when you are going back to the States, that we have a nice souvenir of you all making it to Döllersheim. Once you have signed, you can choose a bottle. Not the other way around. Okay, you know, the cotton was brought in from the US and they're doing that. And this all is handmade directly, all handmade from his museum. And this is a small souvenir from Count Godano's. And danke Leopold, dass du gekommen bist.
Where's Mary? Let's get Mary over there in front.
Okay.
How's the quality, Mary?
You probably understand
Yeah.
more about it than I do.
Yeah, she's all about textiles.
Well, just to show the history about is all this, that when they built here nearby the railway from Czechoslovakia to Vienna, to get transport coal and firewood to Vienna, because that was the biggest problem for the Vienna exploded population, and they didn't have enough firewood or coal and so on, so they built a railway from Czechoslovakia to Vienna, and with this the industrialization started, and they brought us machines for weaving and making this material. And luckily enough, we have one engineer at our helping us here, and he's very well asked around the world, because we have old machines which still can woven even with silk.
Oh my!
And he's asked very often to go out if they have to repair this and the other place to make such little repairs. And this is just. And if you allow me to give you a present here for the ladies, it was too short. I don't have enough for everybody.